What do you do when your life hasn't turned out the way you thought it would? For me, that moment came when I lost everything because I decided to leave a relationship that had become stagnant. In this video, I will explore how a personal crisis led to a spiritual awakening and how you can turn your own life challenges into your own spiritual awakening. I married my high school sweetheart. I adored him. I thought he was an amazing human being, and we had many years of happiness together. However, a point came in our lives where I began to recognize a pattern that I had developed, and that pattern was that I was always prioritizing his needs over my own, to the point that I had given up my dream of going to a graduate school that I wanted to go to because he wasn't willing to help me financially make that happen. It also happened when I decided not to go to Hollywood, when I had the opportunity with a film and a film producer who decided they were going to help me with contacts in Hollywood. And instead, I decided to stay with him and focus on the relationship. It happened when I recognized that he had developed a drinking problem and was engaging in relationships with other people that felt unsafe to my marriage. And I was prioritizing that it was okay for him to do those things, even though I was unhappy and I was lonely. And that led to me having affairs. I had become a person that I didn't like. And I knew at that moment something needed to change. I looked at myself and I said, I don't like who I am. And I know this isn't who I am at my core. And I know that this relationship isn't going where it needs to go. I did make an effort. I asked for therapy and we went to therapy, but he didn't participate in it and changes didn't happen. So I made the decision to leave him. In 2008, I tore apart my life and decided to start over. And this triggered a mental health crisis for me. I started to experience depression, anxiety, and I began to recognize that something needed to change. And yet there was something inside of me that kept saying, you can heal from this. And it led me to go to a psychic school to learn energy healing. In my last video, I spoke about this experience where I had a mystical experience while meditating. In that experience, I became aware of what I call my inner compass. And everybody has an inner compass. It is the aspect of us that is wise and guides us towards making decisions that are for our highest good. It is the aspect of ourself that can never be harmed, that is compassionate and peaceful, is able to collaborate, is non-judgmental, is confident, courageous, and has clarity. It is connected. This inner compass told me that it was time for me to heal and change my life. As I was going through all of this, I mentioned that I was experiencing depression and anxiety. These were my roadblocks, which is what I call any aspect of ourselves that hides the true nature of who we are, which is our inner compass, from view. And at the time, I was identifying with these roadblocks. I believed that I was unworthy, I was unlovable, I was not good enough, that things would not get better, even though I was making steps to try to make them better. These roadblocks we all have. They are any aspect of ourselves that we are uncomfortable with. And they are not just aspects of ourselves that we deem bad, such as our anger or our anxiety or our ruminating thoughts, but they can be aspects of ourselves that are actually quite good, such as our compassionate nature, and yet we can be uncomfortable with them. I want to premise that our roadblocks are not bad. Even the aspects of ourselves that we are uncomfortable with, such as anger or our anxiety, they are aspects of ourselves that require us to go deeper to understand what our underlying need and boundaries are. Getting to know your roadblocks is how you heal. Your inner compass is what helps you heal, and it is what helps connect you to what I call the collective divine. In my last video, I talked about how I had this awakening to something beyond myself that felt spiritual in nature, that was deeply loving and supportive. Many spiritual traditions have belief systems that there are beings that live in the spirit world that guide us, such as angels or gods and goddesses or ascended masters or ancestors. And these energies are inside what I call the collective divine, and Carl Jung called the collective unconscious, and we can call on them for support and healing. These three aspects, the inner compass, roadblocks, and the collective divine, are what I call the divine within. In my upcoming book, The Divine Within, Healing Ourselves to Heal the World, I explore in even more detail what these aspects are and how the divine within is truly how we heal. It's a relationship with all aspects of ourself. A spiritual awakening is essentially when you become aware of some aspect of yourself that is no longer working for you, and you recognize that you need to change and grow, and you awaken to something within yourself that is going to guide you to heal. So a spiritual awakening is when you decide that you want to become a more peaceful, more compassionate, more healthy individual. In my next video, I will discuss the difference between a spiritual awakening, which can lead to spiritual experiences that are mystical in nature, as well as what a spiritual psychosis is. But for now, let me give you some tips about how you can embody your own inner compass. Your inner compass is when your body feels calm, open, and expansive. So practicing mindfulness and meditation is a wonderful way to help you embody your inner compass. In particular, the practice of loving kindness. Loving kindness, or metta, is a Buddhist practice where you offer yourself compassionate phrases. For example, may I be well. May I remember I am loving kindness. May I be happy. May I be at peace. May I learn to accept all aspects of myself. When we practice regularly a loving kindness practice, it creates a neural pathway to our frontal lobe. And our frontal lobe is the part of our brain that is responsible for compassion, empathy, collaboration, adult perspective, reasoning, and emotion regulation. The inner compass is essentially when your body is in a regulated state and you're working collaboratively towards the common good of all. If you found this video helpful, I hope you will consider reading my upcoming book, The Divine Within, Healing Ourselves to Heal the World, which is being published by Atmosphere Press later this year. It is a step-by-step guide how to embody your inner compass, how to identify your roadblocks and heal them, and how to have a personal relationship with the collective divine. I am sending you all deep love and appreciation for the ways that you express your inner divinity and acceptance for where you are on your journey of healing and remembering.